A 27-yard field goal for Eric Bigos gives the Argos a 4-0 lead over Winnipeg, and Bigos standing in to get the kickoff going, and standing back Demetrius Stanley and the top return specialist in the CFL, number 21, Eric Blunt. What a great year he's had, although Winnipeg's been receiving a lot of kickoffs this year. It's been that kind of season. Once again, this one will come down to Stanley at his 15. Cuts outside and gets taken down at the 39. Ball comes loose, and it is Winnipeg's football.
Well, one guy that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers hope will open up things a little bit is Milt Stegall, back from his NFL tryout. He had a bit of an injury, has a little bit of a knee injury, but apparently he's close to 100%, and the knee isn't bothering him. He's got great speed in the seam. Not only will he be the deep threat that he was last year in a hurry for Troy Kopp, but he'll also open up things for the underneath patterns. When you got a great speed guy, gets the defensive backs on their heels a little bit, you can open up the underneath patterns.
And there have been so many changes at receiving spots for Winnipeg this year. It's been a real problem. As his quarterback, Kopp completes it to Blunt. Makes a move. Great move to pick up the Winnipeg first down across their 50-yard line to their 52.
And this is what I'm talking about right here. Milt Stegall took off deep on that play, and the secondary and linebackers for the Argos had to drop to about 10-15 yards and opened up the underneath zone for Blunt to just catch that one out of the backfield and make the first down on his own. That's what speed does for you.
Stegall, the leading receiver in the Canadian Football League last year. Another weapon for Troy Kopp. Got the Bombers on the move now across their 50. After that first down to Blunt. Stands back, gets out of it. Kopp on the run and gets across midfield. Picks up something. In fact, about 6 yards on the play for Winnipeg.
Last week when he went into the huddle, he took the reins of that offense, and the offensive lineman said they were so pumped up and just were running to the line of scrimmage. Troy Kopp brought an attitude to the huddle, and you have to have an attitude and borderline cocky, and Troy Kopp has that.
In fact, it was Chris Perez, one of the Bomber tackles, that at first thought he was thinking about telling him to calm down a little bit. Then he thought, wait a minute, maybe we've been too calm all season long. Yeah, he's got some fire. That one just goes incomplete. Intended for Demetrius Stanley, goes right through his hands. It'll be third down now and about 5 yards.
I think the ball was intended for DeBuck, and Demetrius Stanley broke off his pattern. He read a high zone and stopped in the hole. I don't think that ball was intended for him, but he deflects it, and Matt DeBuck can't pick up the deflection, and he takes the hit instead. It's a little shaken up. Probably got the stinger on that side.
To give you an idea how the receiving problems have been this year with Winnipeg, DeBuck, 37 in receiving in the CFL, the leading Bomber. Their #1 receiver and 37th overall. Buckman takes a pop on the punt return after a 45-yard kick. And the Argos with a 4-point lead going to work again against Jeff Reinbold's Winnipeg Blue Bombers. What a tough year, what a tough tenure it's been as head coach of the Bombers for Jeff Reinbold in his second season, and many would speculate his last, with a record of 1-10. But as he said to his players after that victory last week, if nothing else, you can be proud of one of the most dramatic moments in Winnipeg football history.
And there's two things you have to look at. One is he is not out of the playoff picture yet. We mentioned that at the start of the show. He could still get there because of the crossover format with a few wins, because BC and Saskatchewan are still struggling. The other thing is, remember, Ron Lancaster started as a head coach with Saskatchewan Roughriders with 2 wins, 2 seasons in a row. Or, yeah, back-to-back seasons. So, I mean, a rough start, yes. But he's a good football man. He knows his X's and O's. And if he isn't the head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers next year, he'll be in football somewhere, no question.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he wears his heart on his sleeve, and you could certainly see that, the emotions coming off that victory last week. Keys for Winnipeg?
Yeah, I mean, I think for Winnipeg to win this game, they're going to have to take Daryl Mitchell out of it as much as possible. If that means triple covering him, do it. Shante Peoples has to have a good game off the edge. Of course, that's what they expect out of him. He had 13 sacks last year, and they need to get Stegall the ball. He was the go-to guy all last year. He's got the great speed. We just talked about that. He has to see the football, and he has to see it deep and early.
As far as the Argos go, Don Matthews says, doesn't matter if you're taking on a team that's 1-10 or 10-1, you prepare for them the same way. But what do the Argos have to worry about with Winnipeg?
Well, they have to get pressure on Troy Kopp. Kopp is a young quarterback who's only played in about 18 minutes of pro football, so they're going to send a lot of different types of blitzes at him, some zone blitzes and some straight zero blitzes. They have to contain Eric Blunt, especially on special teams. Blunt, of course, broke the big punt return last week versus Saskatchewan that set up the victory. And I think the Toronto Argonauts have to establish a running game. They're known as a passing team. They spread things out, but they need to keep some balance in that offense.
Fewest attempts rushing in the CFL. Like down near the bottom, just about every rushing stat in the league. Bell to pass again, wide open impression, but they say no good. Trapped it. It just came down in front of him.
Well, this play is set up because you've run the hitch passes a few times. Kerwin Bell has thrown the hitch pass a couple times. He started the game out with it to Daryl Mitchell. This time he's going to pump fake it and try and go deep, but the Winnipeg secondary didn't bite.
Good numbers for Bell so far. He came in completing 67% of his passes, to be exact 67.3, and right now at a 70% clip. It'll be second down and 10 for the Argos. That Winnipeg defense has been bending but not breaking so far, allowing a missed field goal, a single, and another field goal by Vigos, hence the 4-0 lead. Dropping back over the middle, and nobody near it. Falls incomplete down around midfield.
Well, that was all the way to Daryl Mitchell, no question. He saw the matchup he wanted. It was Maurice Kelly, but Kelly was all over him.
Frustration for Kerwin Bell at quarter time. The Argos will be punting to start the second. Back to CFL Live Control.
You're watching CFL Live, and we're at the quarter. Here's your host, James Duthie.
All right, welcome back. You know, a lot of times in this league, stars seems to come out of nowhere, and we're left at home sitting, where'd this guy come from? Well, in the case of Daryl Mitchell, we have the guy who found him. Eric Tillman, when he was GM of the Argos. Where'd you find this guy?
Well, you know, when I joined the Argos, one of the first things Don said to me was that we need to add a big play receiver, a guy that can make it happen. And I knew about Mookie from my experience in the World League. He played for Scotland, and both John Jenkins and I know his college coach, Spike Dykes at Texas Tech, very well. To be honest with you, James, you know, I think we brought in 3 or 4 pretty good receivers, you know, last winter, and sometimes you just get lucky. A good one becomes a great one. You know, Daryl has obviously just exploded in this league and had more of an impact than we ever thought. I think the thing that makes him most special is his ability after the catch. You know, he was a junior college and high school running back, and it shows after he catches that football, Chris.
Well, one of the reasons that Daryl Mitchell is so efficient is, by all means, Kerwin Bell. Nobody sits in the pocket until the last possible moment better than Kerwin Bell. He really gambles on his toughness, pays the price with his physical health. And you compare him to other quarterbacks that move, they sprint to open distances, they move efficiently in the pocket, make that first guy miss. Not Kerwin Bell. He's stoic, he's going to stand there, he'll take the shot. He uses those precious moments of pass protection to the best of his ability, and if he can wait that last second, that creates that separation, makes the completed pass. He enhances Mitchell, Mitchell enhances Bell.
I suppose the only problem about waiting till that last second is he might get himself killed one of these days. I think he's had his helmet knocked off 4 or 5 times in the last month. Fortunately, so far, his head has not come off with it. Let's get you back to second quarter action at Skydome now. Here's Rod Smith and Glenn Suter. Guys.
All right, thank you, James. 4-0 Toronto. Let's head down to the sideline now and join David Amber. David?
Thanks, Rod. Talking about Kerwin Bell nearly getting his head knocked off. Well, he missed the last 2 days of practice on Friday and Thursday. He actually went down to Florida to attend his grandfather's funeral. Had to stay with some family members down there in Florida. He's been back, though, and Don Matthews says the big practices are Tuesday and Wednesday, so there'd be no problem with him missing the later part of the week. And he looks okay so far. 4 points on the board. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, David. Our condolences to Kerwin Bell and his family. And yes, as an experienced quarterback, I'm sure missing those prep days isn't nearly as problematic as it would be for a rookie QB. The punt by Noel Prefontaine, and it's a good one, heading towards the sideline. Eric Blunt lets it bounce, and it's an Argo bounce that takes him back to the 35, but Blunt takes it. Look at the moves by Blunt. Gets up across the 50 to the 52, and he makes something out of that after it looked like field position would be about the 35-yard line.
Well, you always want to catch the ball in the air, but sometimes when it does bounce around, it'll fragment the coverage team a little bit, and that's when Blunt can find a seam.
Troy Kopp Not only a football player, baseball player too, twice drafted by the Montreal Expos. Hey, that's something else he has in common with Matt Dunnigan. Remember Dunnigan had a little baseball tryout with the Expos? Just the comparisons are endless.
Well, he has the same number, and he sort of walks the same way and throws the same way, so Winnipeg fans hoping he plays the same way.
On first down, rolling to his right, over the middle, and beautiful play by Lester Smith to break that one up.
Well, Lester Smith is the leader that anchors that secondary, and Stiegel's just going to go down the seam and try and stop when he sees the coverage high from Lester Smith. But watch the great closing speed. Lester Smith about 6 yards away and just closes that distance in a hurry, hits Stiegel right in the back, and won't allow that one to be caught. Makes all the checks from the safety position, leads the team in interceptions. Definitely the anchor in that secondary.
4 interceptions so far this season for Lester Smith. A second down. Bombers nearly picked off that time. Good coverage once again down at the Argo 40. Not much chance for the Bomber receiver there. It was Demetrius Stanley on the play.
Yeah, well, it was good coverage, but there was a problem with the pass patterns. Demetrius Stanley was right beside, I believe it was Mitch Running on the play. They were both right beside each other, and you generally don't have that with patterns. You definitely have more separation between two receivers, or one defensive back can cover both. And that's what Adrian Smith did.
Cobb talking things over with quarterbacks coach Tom Porras, who had a pretty good long CFL career with a number of teams, including the Argos and the Bombers, and of course the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So Bob Cameron to punt from his 40. Pretty good kick. Anthony Bookman, the only one back, takes it inside his 20, and not much doing, gets it across to maybe the 22-yard line after a 42-yard punt by Cameron. 13-18 to go until the half. Still 4-0 Argos.
You know, the panel talked about Kerwin Bell and how tough he is in the pocket. I think one of his great attributes is the fact that he's tall and has tremendous vision downfield. He can see over that offensive line. That gives him a great advantage, standing at 6'3" and weighing 210.
7 for 11 so far. He had the one that really bothered him the last play of the quarter, looking for Darryl Mitchell, and it was overthrown. But still having a pretty good afternoon as he sends once again 3 out to the left, including Byron Capers. They hand off to Clemens. 2 flags down, a first down Toronto. Clemens found a hole and some room up to the Argo 35.
Well, it was a big hole, and maybe it was because someone up front was kind of cheating.
I wouldn't think holding.
No, I could. It's in that area. That's where the flag was, right in the holding area.
You defensive players always suspect something if the hole is too big, right?
That's right.
Holding.
Yeah.
Toronto number 58. First down
Chris
repeated.
Dioskas got called on the holding.
And Mr. Suter guesses correctly, or suspects correctly.
Well, you know, I mean, that's a good offensive line that'll open up a couple of creases for pinball, but that was a pretty big hole.
It goes back to the Argo 12-yard line. A first down and 20. Well, the Argos started deep in their own zone once before at their own 13, and they drove all the way down for a field goal. Flags down again on the snap of the ball, and Bell under pressure gets away once and then just throws it away. And another flag down late as Bell is taken down.
Well, he is upset. He thinks he was hit late and wants the roughing the passer call.
But it looks to be going against the Argos.
Well, there's a couple of flags on the field.
Would grounding have been called the way he threw that away?
Well, there's no question he dumped that away, and whether or not it passed the line of scrimmage, because there wasn't a receiver in the area. Paul Mazzotti was trying to argue his case, saying that he was coming back to it, but the ball passes the line of scrimmage. It's not grounding.
Intentional grounding. Toronto number 12. First down, second down, second down.
Well, it obviously didn't cross the line of scrimmage, and it was called on the grounding. The new rule in the CFL, if the quarterback throws the ball across the line of scrimmage, there doesn't have to be a receiver in the area, but there's no question that Bell's just trying to get rid of that one, and he doesn't have enough on it to get it over the line, and that's the penalty.
However, they did not clarify the first penalty. There was a flag down even before Bell got it away. I guess it's inconsequential. because the grounding is the one that stands, and they're back to the 1-yard line.
Yeah, and I really didn't see a late hit on Kerwin Bell or any unintentional roughness or intentional roughness, excuse me. So I don't know what Bell was arguing.
An offside actually was signaled as the other penalty. So the Argos starting very, very deep. They have to get it out to the 32-yard line for a first down. They're at their 1. They hand off to Clemens to give a little breathing room, and he takes a shot about the 7-yard line. Things getting a little bit heated now between these two teams, and
yeah. Well, some of the fans were booing there on the call because you're down that far. You're thinking that the quarterback's going to drop back and throw the ball, but it's a good call by Don Matthews because really you just want to get a little breathing room for your punter. There's not a whole lot of plays in the playbook for 3rd and what 30. So
it was actually about 32 yards. They're at the 1. They had to get to the 33.
Yeah, so that limits the playbook a little bit. What you want to do is get the ball off the goal line, get about 5 yards, 6 yards of breathing room so your punter can come in, get rid of that football, and let's reload the next time out.
And kudos so far to that Bomber defense. It's been holding its own, including a couple of times when the Argos had moved well into their own territory. Noel Prefontaine standing about 10 yards back.
Now, does he give up the safety?
No, he doesn't. He does choose to kick it away. A driving punt that bounces in front of Eric Blunt. He takes it on the run, moving to his left and wrapped up nicely. Good tackle by Mike O'Shea to take him down at the Argo 45 of Winnipeg and Troy Kopp. They'll be in business when we come back.
And now, another TSN Sports Break.
Hi, everyone. I'm Teresa Cruz in our TSN newsroom. And news from baseball tops this hour. Last night, Card slugger Mark McGwire regained a major league lead in the home run race with Sammy Sosa by belting his 64th homer of the year against the Brewers. McGwire says that with each homer, though, the hype continues to grow.
That's pressure itself right there. Not many guys. I mean, there's 100 and some guys playing this baseball game. There's a lot of guys doing what I'm doing, but they're not getting critiqued like I'm getting critiqued. So that's pressure. Right now, it's a big deal. I mean, who finishes on top, which if you ask Sammy and I don't think it really matters. What we've done in the game of baseball, nobody's ever done. Nobody's ever done it.
And the Cards play later on tonight. We'll have more football right after this.
AIDS Walk Canada, Sunday, September 27th. Call 1-800-705-WALK. It's the walk Canada's been waiting for all year.
Be sure you're watching TSN later today, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific Time. Toronto Blue Jays in Tampa Bay. Tropicana Field. The Jays, well, they're 5 out in the wild card race behind Boston with only 8 games to go. It's not looking good, but they're still alive, and that's more than a lot of people thought about a month and a half ago.
5 games out, 8 games to go. There's a chance. So you're saying there's a chance.
Well, Red Sox need to pull off one of their famous collapses, and I don't think that's going to happen now. But they lost last night, and so did the Blue Jays, though, missing a chance to close to within 4 again. Troy Kopp's got some good field position to work with here from the Argo 44. Oh! My goodness. Adrian Smith, I think he could see the daylight. If he could just get his hands on that football, he would have been gone.
Well, we talked about Troy Kopp. He's going to have to start looking off some of these receivers. He's got to look the other way when he throws this. All the way, he's looking to his left. Adrian Smith reads that and is right up there in front of Travis Anderson, ready to take that one the other way. Troy Kopp's got to do a couple things. He's got to look off the DBs and Adrian Smith, and he also has to pump a couple of those and go up over top so they'll respect the fact that he may throw the ball deep.
I seem to recall an interception, something like that, in Hamilton 2 years ago in the Grey Cup against the Edmonton Eskimos that went for a touchdown Toronto. Oh, that one goes incomplete. Troy Kopp throwing another one, and that was intended for Demetrius Stanley down at the 35. It would have been close to a first down.
Well, Troy Kopp is disappointed because he read the play perfectly. He knew that the Argos were coming with everybody. Full out blitz. He read it right. He went to the right man. He just didn't hook up. He threw it a little too far ahead. and that's why he's showing so much disappointment, because it was the right read, the right guy to throw to. He just didn't execute it.
Last week was the first time he'd played since 1996 in arena football. He had a tryout with the San Diego Chargers earlier this year, but was let go just in August, and he hooked up with Winnipeg. Troy Westwood from just over 50 yards out pushes it to the right. He had the distance, and Bookman brings it out across his 10. Bookman near the 17-yard line, and it's Grant Carter that finally knocks him down. So once again, field position will be okay for Winnipeg, but no points to show for it yet. Down 4-0, 10:31 to go until the half. In the first quarter, numbers that would suggest a low-scoring ball game.
Well, some pretty good passing yards from the Argos right there, but a couple of those on a big play, one to Andrew English, and the Winnipeg defense bent a little bit but didn't break, of course. Only 4 points on the board for the Argos, and they're going to want a little more production out of their running game. They need some balance there, and Sean Millington and Eric Blunt will split the duties from the tailback position with Deland McCullough off the roster.
Roster juggling by Jeff Reinbold, import-non-import ratio. Well, nowhere. Maurice Kelly buries Pinball Clements, and that Bomber D continues to be stalwart.
This is a great open field tackle because it's Mike Pinball Clements, and Clements in the open field is the toughest in the business to tackle. Maurice Kelly just runs right over him. There's space there, and watch Kelly. Great form on that tackle, drives right through Pinball Clements, head up, wraps him up great. And this is an impact football player for the Bombers. The great open field tackle right there.
Linebacker slash defensive back, one of those tweeners, does it so well, fast and strong. Early movement at the line, but no flags. And the pass is completed. Andrew English has another big gain for the Argos, up at the 35, a first down Toronto. 17-yard gain.
Well, it was what Andrew English did with the football after he caught it, because really he's the checkoff man for Kerwin Bell. Kerwin wanted to go to the play side, which was to his left. He had to check off and just dump it in the flat, but Andrew English did a nice job of cutting back on Don Robinson, heading up the field. It's called yak yards, the yards after the catch, and that was all Andrew English.
First down, Toronto. Offense has been moving the football, but not getting much to show for it, really. 4 points. They dump it off to Clements, and they're on to him. Fumble. Loose ball. Who's got it? And it looks like the Argos may have gotten it back. Dwayne Demetrician with it now. But once again, they were wise to Clements and actually calling that an incomplete pass.
Well, it's definitely a forward pass, even though it comes out of the shovel series. Little play action first to Clements, and then Kerwin Bell moves to his right. No question, a forward pass, and well, that's definitely a catch.
Definitely a catch, sure. And they do mark it off, a 3-yard gain for 2nd and 7 for Toronto.
Remember, you just need to be the last player to touch it as that ball goes out of bounds. Dwayne Demetrician recovered the fumble.
As Don Matthews looks on, the shotgun snap goes just as Kerwin Bell is calling for time. Flags down, and they do give him the timeout.
Well, Kerwin Bell went to
Toronto.
Call the timeout. Didn't like what he saw in the coverage from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and as he was doing that, he saw the football hit him in the hand. He was looking for the official on the play.
Well, they said they gave him the timeout, but they gave him the timeout after they gave him the penalty, which is not exactly what he had in store.
Well, this is one that Kerwin Bell is going to look at the film and probably have a good chuckle about tomorrow, because he goes to call timeout, and just that motion alone was enough to have Chad Folks snap the ball to him and hit him right in the armpit.
For his season, maybe the most impressive stats, 15 touchdowns in '98 and only 6 picked off.
Don't make fast movements around offensive linemen. They get kind of jumpy.
Sure. His hands move.
Yeah.
Snap it. On 2nd down, it's complete to Mitchell. Looking for the first down marker, doesn't get it. Good work by Don Robinson to slow him down, and they get him down shy of the 45. He needed to get just beyond that for the first down.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what Don Matthews does in this situation. And I think he may go for it. Just about a yard away from that first down marker. You're in your end of the field, but not by much. It's almost as good as saying you're in midfield, and you got to have confidence in your offensive line that they can pick up 1 yard on a gamble. Of course, we've seen a few games where it hasn't happened, but
I saw 3 light guys walk off the field and 3 heavy guys come in. I think that's a telltale sign.
Yeah.
They got some beef up front now on 3rd and inches. On the handoff, and pinball Clements has no problem. Slicing his way across, gets it to the 47 and a first down Toronto. The sticks move.
Yeah, when you put together your offensive game plan, you have to have confidence that your offense can go and get 1 yard. The only way that it's not going to happen is if you have a penalty, an illegal procedure call, or something happens with the football, i.e. a fumble from the center to the quarterback, or he turns around and fumbles it, getting it to the tailback. But really, you have to be able to go out and get that as an offense.
The one thing that's worked against Winnipeg so much this season has been the length of time that the defense has been on the field. And so far in this game, it's becoming a problem. Even with Troy Kopp at quarterback,